your moderator, Carla Renata. Thank you so much for coming out, and welcome to this post-discussion centered around Abbott Elementary, which is on ABC TV, and you can catch it the next day on Hulu. How about that? So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the cast. Is that all right? Yeah. All right, here we go. Coming up first is Chris Perfetti, who plays Jacob Hill. Next is Janelle James, who plays Ava Coleman. Stanford, who plays Quinta Brunson. Sheryl Lee Ralph, who plays Barbara Howard. On Elementary, who plays Tease, Miss Quinta Brunson. Welcome, you guys. It's so wonderful to have this discussion with you. I'm so excited. Okay. So I want to say congratulations on your 4th season. Thank you so much. And having created and aired this show for 3 seasons now, and now on your 4th, how would you say your on-set dynamic has changed or shifted or gotten better since the beginning? And how do you keep things fresh for the audience to watch as well? And we'll start with Chris.
Hey.
Yeah, you didn't expect that.
You weren't even looking at me. You really threw me for a loop there. I would say the dynamic has gotten really toxic, really untenable. Yeah. No, it's so wild. I never thought that I would play a character for 4 years, and I've been jamming with these guys for that amount of time, and it really feels like a company. It feels like an ensemble that we all sort of know what the other person needs. We have a common sort of vocabulary and language now, and we're trying to make each other laugh. And personally, these guys just feel like my family, and so it feels very safe. And anytime you start a new project, I think that's at the top of my list. I want to feel safe to take risks and do things that material requires, and I feel safe with these people, and they feel, it just feels very close and easy. And you don't really know what that is until you have it. And I don't remember the second half of your question, but maybe somebody else wants to answer.
That's okay, somebody else can pick it up. How would you say that you keep things fresh for the audience as well as yourselves, Janelle?
Fresh for the audience is.
Yeah, when you're doing, you're doing the same character for season after season after season, but your dialogue is different episode after episode.
Well, of course, performance-wise, but that starts with the writing and the story. So that's how the writers and Quinta keep it fresh, and then I get to keep it fresh through my performance of these new layers that are being peeled back for my character. And I feel like, Ava has changed so much from season 1 to extraordinarily, but in a real smooth way. She's changed, but she's still the same. She still has her same personality and snark, but her arc has been so high, so it's been a pleasure to play.
I have to applaud you, Quinta, and you, Janelle, for having a woman that could easily have been, Ava could have been very one note, she could have been very one note, but Janelle, you make her multi-dimensional.
Thank you so much.
And you make her multi-dimensional because of what you write for her to say. So I just want to give y'all your props on that regard.
Thanks so much.
After your question about keeping it fresh, I think any character on this show could be one note, and you have seen them be one note on other shows before. But one of the ways we keep things fresh is by adding new layers to these characters all the time. So we're constantly building subtly, but we're doing it and making sure that we're not giving you the same thing over and over again, surprising you with what a character can do, how they can be funny, how they feel, what their insecurities are, what they're excited about. And I think that's our favorite part as writers, is to add more layers into the fabric of who they are as people, so that you guys don't get bored as an audience.
Subtle is what I meant to say. I said smooth. Subtle is a bit.
So I also want to congratulate you guys because this past summer, you won for the third time an Emmy for Outstanding Comedy.
We didn't win. We nominated. Yeah, we'll take that.
That was a subliminal thought. I was speaking that into existence, my bad. But can you talk about what elements you think make the show stand out as a comedy in the landscape of sitcom comedies? Because it's very, very different, especially because of the POV point of view that it's shot in and so many other elements. Could you just speak to that real quick?
Yeah, I think from its inception, something that's interesting is that this show is about an underfunded public school. It's, I would say, we don't seek to be political, it's inherently political because public schools are political. It has something that's very unique about Abbott is that it has 3 Black women leads on it, and the show is not about them being Black women. The show is about teachers. But when that POV is at the forefront, it changes the dynamic. And I'm not giving you diversity hubbub. I'm saying that when you put different faces at the front of something, it's going to feel different than what you've seen before. We have seen other teacher shows before. We've seen ones that I love, like AP Bio or Teachers on, that was a great show on TV Land, if you ever did watch it. But it was good, but it looks different when you have those characters versus when you have a Janine, a Barbara, and an Ava, and even a Melissa who's not Black, but just a kind of white woman I hadn't seen on TV in a very long time. So that's very important. I think that we have characters who are not afraid to be flawed. It sounds so corny, but I don't believe that flawed people are bad people. And I think everyone gets to have that and still be worthy of empathy. So we kind of lead with that in the show.
The thing that makes the show work is that being flawed is being human, right? Everyone that's a human being is flawed to some extent. And because each and every one of the characters in the show has a little quirk or a little flaw with them, it makes them human, which makes the audience connect with them, in my opinion. Don't y'all agree? Mr. Stan, my St. Louis homie, you are the king of one-liners on this show.
That's what I hear.
That's what you hear? So talk to me about being that person on the show and then having your character evolve, because Mr. Johnson has revealed some things about himself along the way to the audience that we didn't see coming.
It was just like we said, I don't think that any character is one-dimensional. You know, I try to honor his humanity, first of all. I think that I find his truth, and then I try to, even as insane as his truth may be sometimes, I try to honor that and bring that to the character. I think he's a very interesting character, and he's a lot of fun. I love him, you know. I think about him all the time. I really do.
And we think about him all the time too, because you're hilarious. Really are. Tyler, we all know that you have been in projects as a child. Everybody Hates Chris. I was telling you that I remember you from Dear White People, that film, which I love so very much. I wanted to know that being a child actor and now you're working with children on Abbott Elementary, how have you learned to work with them and foster them on set the way people fostered you when you were a kid?
I think what's really nice about it is people assume that when children do something that they don't know what they're doing, but because I was there, I know that they do. They'll ask questions and be looking at things differently, and you can understand that they're taking it seriously. We have one kid that actually came to one of our table reads recently, and he's from the pilot. And just watching his progression from a reaction in the pilot to giving him a line in season 1 to giving him more in season 2 in this past season. He was kind of a big part of the with the Halloween arc, right? Yeah, the Halloween story arc. You're watching them grow as artists, and I think that's what I was doing at that time. So there's something really nice to creating an atmosphere for them to be kids and have a good time and not take things too seriously, but then also as they begin to take themselves seriously as artists, we can support that as well and watch that journey. It's been really fulfilling.
Yeah, and that kid, we never had a kid at a table read. Even though kids talk a lot in our show, we never had one at a table read. The writers will fill in for kids, so this was the first time for us too. And he only had one line, and he killed it. And it was so sweet to see his growth. Just going off what you're saying, it's nice to be able to nurture children in that way.
I have a feeling in 10 to 15 years, we're going to hear a few stories of kids who got their start on Abbott because they're getting really good in a way that is far ahead of what their age should suggest.
Well, of course they're getting really good. They're making television. They have no choice.
I watched him this week. Can I say that he directed it?
Of course.
And,
Not the child title.
and watching his patience and his kindness with the kids, it moved me. You know, that he took his time. That if they stumbled or had to, you want to read it again. You know, he was really patient and kind, and that's the type of director, the type of person that he is.
Sheryl Lee Ralph. That episode where Janine has loaned you just $5. It is just itching at her that you were spending $5 on everything but paying her back. Have you been in a situation where somebody owed you some money and they've been going out to dinner, they've been doing all the things but paying you back?
What does it say? Be neither a borrower or a lender. So I never lend money. I might give you some money, but I'm not going to lend you any money. When I was younger, my father said to me, if you lend somebody some money, you can be sure of one thing. You're never getting it back. So I don't lend money. You ask me for money and I have it, I'm going to give it to you. Because I'm not expecting you to give it back. Yeah.
Come to your house.
Huh?
I'm coming to your house for it.
Sheryl, that reminds me,
Okay, I'm not gonna say that, okay. We know as audience members, Ms. Sheryl, how much of an inspiration you have been to us over the years through various characters and roles that you've played on the small screen and on the big screen. But who was your inspiration for Barbara Howard? And how has Barbara inspired you as an actress in the show?
You know, I'm surrounded by educators. My dad was a lifelong learner, educator. My mom taught sewing. My auntie Carolyn, a blue ribbon teacher turned principal. My uncle PJ, past prime minister, now university professor. So everybody in my family on both sides are teaching. But I have to tell you that there has been a time, over time I should say, where the way out for women and a few men, especially people of color, pick a color, any color, black, the way out has been and has always been through education, through becoming a teacher, through sharing and showing the next generations to come what was possible if you could pay attention in a classroom. So I remain inspired by that. I'm part of a sorority where so many of the women are incredible teachers and politicians. I like that. But I really pay homage to all of those who came before me and said, I will come to the classroom to teach, especially in a time like now, where in a city like Philadelphia, you have teachers now who are not certified to teach because there's such a shortage, you know? So I pay homage to anybody who takes and goes to the classroom and says, I'm here for you. Yeah.
And just to piggyback on what you said, my mama used to always tell me, and education is something that no one can ever take away from you.
Never take that from you.
Yeah, you can never, that could never be taken away from you. Chris, I want to talk about Jacob a little bit. We saw Jacob go through a lot last season. Whether it's with his breaking up or developing a more solid relationship or friendship with Melissa and becoming her roommate, throughout these last 2 seasons, how do you think Jacob has evolved as he realizes more about himself and explores closer relationships with those around him?
I mean, I got to say at one point in this season that Abbott is my family now. And I think that he has really developed through these relationships. You know, he's formed a very close friendship with Janine and Gregory. And, you know, I think he's in the heyday of his life right now, that they have sort of, you know, that they're speaking their relationship out into the world. And he lives with one of his coworkers, and that's been so fun. I feel like those characters both have so much in common and are so dissimilar. You know, I think this year and a little bit at the end of last year, we really got to explore who Jacob is as an educator, and we're really delving into that this year and sort of like dropping these kernels about sort of explaining what the life before Abbott was like. And obviously, you know, this year when we meet Jacob's brother, we get to really sort of explain why he is the way he is and what that history was like, and maybe why he's so neurotic and seemingly like fighting to make some real tangible change in the world. And so, yeah, it's been great. I feel like there's also been an opportunity. You know, Jacob doesn't usually fall into like the pathos of the show. You know, I feel like we got to explore, you know, Jacob, these more like serious situations. Whereas in the first couple of seasons, I think we could always sort of rely on that character to be accelerating the conflict or the comedic relief, and so that's been fun as well. It's just been a blast. I feel like the sky is the limit. All of us, you know, all of these characters are drawn very authentically, and so I hope we get to just reveal more and more about them.
I'm just going to stay with you one more time for another question. You embrace a lot of physical comedy on this show, and I love that. How has that been for you to embrace that physical comedy and make it part of Jacob?
I can't deny it. It's just sort of how I work. It's you know, like I said, when we first sat down, I feel like we're all just sort of like trying to make each other laugh now within the confines of the circumstances of our show, and so that's just a way in for me. And you know, Quinta has done me a lot of favors in that she's written a character who is sort of trying to like tamp down his Energizer Bunny-ness, and so it just feels natural and fun to me. And yeah, if you put a garbage can in front of me, I'll jump in.
He'll jump in. He also just makes these faces sometimes. I was just thinking about the face you made today when you went, and you like, he just expresses so much through his body naturally, so we can just throw so many emotions at him, and we like to see, is it going to come out through his face? Is it going to come out through his hands? Is it going to come out through his knees? Is it going to jump into his knees? I don't know, he's always doing crazy stuff. It's fun to watch.
It definitely, Chris at the top of the day, if you watch him, you'll get an idea of what it's going to be, because he starts to bubble up. Like, you can feel Jacob bubbling up in him, and it'll start at his feet and start to work its way up. It seemed like I watched it all week long, and it was something really nice, because it's hard to be a fan of it when you're in the moment, because as an actor you have to be present here. But I was able to just kind of watch you this week, and depending on where the scene resides, it could come out of his knees. It really might.
Yeah, it might. And I'll go, Chris, what's wrong with you? He'll go, I ate too much. And then the next day I'll wait, Chris, what's wrong with you? I didn't eat anything yet. And it's just, none of it's true, it's just all coming up out of it.
I love that. Look at you get all that love, Chris. Receive it. Receive it. Tyler, I know you just wrapped directing your first episode of Abbott Elementary. actor and you're directing and you're, you know, doing all the things.
Yeah, I don't recommend doing both. Don't recommend it. It's hard to stay, well, one, it's hard to just not watch as a fan because you do so much of that through the day and jumping in and out of scenes, trying to turn your brain back on. And Quinta's talked about it quite a bit because she has to do that in all of the facets, in the writing and in the editing and all of that. So being in a scene is very interesting. But it just, at the end of the day, it made me really appreciate my cast at the end of the day. Like these are some of the best actors in Hollywood. I have no idea how I'm gonna edit this. Like there's just so much in there, and I think it speaks to why you do a show like this for this long. Because like Chris was saying, we fall into such a rhythm with each other that the bar is no longer whether or not you're laughing, it's if we are. And if we can get somebody else who we know is at the top of their game to crack, and it's one or two jokes isn't enough, you just keep going and going and you push it further and further, and I think that's what ensemble comedy is about. That's why you have 6 to 8 people in the cast, because it's just that we keep sharpening each other.
And it's fun to catch. I got Janelle the other day. She usually makes me, everybody makes me great because I'm already watching the show. I'm already in the edit. So anything anyone does, I'm just laughing in the moment because I can see it. But I got Janelle the other day with something really stupid. And I can't even say it because it's not out or anything. But when she laughed, I was so scared because I thought I don't know. I didn't remember. I've never broken her like that before. But that felt good.
break.
But that felt good to be in season 4 and to like make each other break in that way and surprise each other. I think it's fun. It makes me really excited to put my pants on and go to work.
It feels like the season 4 is for us. You know?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. We're making a season for us. And hopefully you guys
Me
will
too.
like it. We all like it too. But when it gets there, that's when you know you're really having fun.
Janelle, were you gonna say something?
Always, but I'm gonna be real Ava-esque right now and just say that I resent that no one ever asked me about physicality because I've heard myself every season of the show.
Oh no, sister, we were getting to it. You didn't let me
Doing
get
the
there.
most. And what?
Go ahead.
And I think it's because people think that I am this person, but I have not even a quarter of the energy that this character has. And when you say how you keep it fresh and new and all of that, I'm doing the words with the physicality of Ava and her mannerisms and his faces and the running and the heels and all of that's something that I invented. So I just want to say it.
The episode that you just saw, Dad Fight, at the end of that episode, there's that tumble that Ava does. Janelle rolled the hell out of her ankle. Like, it was one of the worst rolls I think I've ever seen. And to see her pop back up and stay in it and keep going. She's serious about this physicality. It's like the fact that she can walk right now is insane. It felt like a basketball injury. But that's the kind of stuff that when you commit to it and you decide to really rest in this that should be addressed. I saw it. It was bad. It was really bad. It was real bad.
It's also an actor's responsibility to keep it new. The whole idea that you would go into a 4th season and it not be new is something that's not questionable. It is always supposed to be new. No matter how many times you deliver the line, it is your responsibility to make it new. You know, when you're on stage and you do the same show for 3 years, 8 times a week, it may be your 8th time in the week doing it, but it is that audience's first time seeing the performance. It is your job, your responsibility to keep it new, to keep it fresh, to keep them turning on that TV, that phone, that iPad, that computer, whatever else people are turning on to watch stuff. That's your responsibility.
Speak on that. a highly anticipated crossover with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Is there anything you can tease before we
I can't, but I do like to tell people something cool about it that I think people don't know, which is that you'll see the Abbott Elementary episode, which is January 8th, I think.
January 9th.
January 9th, and that will be an Abbott Elementary episode, but when Always Sunny airs in June, I think, I could be wrong, you'll see the other side of that episode from the Sunny point of view. So it's gonna be really, really fun, and I just can't underestimate how much it's kind of a thing on TV that hasn't been, that's not true, Marvel's probably done it. I think. But when I really think about it, they probably told the other side of the story. They have done it. They did it with what's the one with Hawkeye and the girl and but they do it all the time. But we're doing it with sitcoms, and I just think it's super cool. So please tune in, of course, to our episode, but then tune in to Sunny to see how something like this can be done, how it comes together. It was not easy to do, but I'm proud that we did it, and I think it made us like stretch. I'll tease one thing that I think Sheryl does Sheryl pairs up with someone who I just did not know it was going to become the best pair in the world in that show, and you should just tune in because I don't think you'll expect it either, and you're going to be shocked at who you want to see Sheryl now do a buddy comedy with. That's what I'll say. I don't want to say too much, but it's fun. It was exciting, and I love it. And they told me it couldn't be done. And guess what? Did it?
Too, so there's that.
They did tell me that.
You know what I'm saying? They be saying a lot of things out there in these streets.
God, I feel like a rapper. They said I couldn't. Wait, before we keep on, can I?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Real quick, the writer and director of the episode are in the audience that you saw today. They're right there.
Congratulations, you guys. Great.
And he can sing too.
Who?
Justin Tan?
Justin can sing.
Take it away. I have the recording.
He do be singing. He does. He sings. Sorry, go ahead. That was great. That was the exact embarrassment I was looking for. Thank you, Sheryl.
I just want to ask one last question. What is your favorite moment in all 4 seasons for each one of your characters, if you can think of it? Why you look at me like that?
That's crazy.
Okay, let's narrow it down. This season.
For me, it would have to be the pilot. And there's a moment where we're all standing together and we talk about the importance of the job of teachers. And it goes into we're sometimes parents or social workers too. And why do we do it? Because it's a calling. It certainly ain't for the money. And I remember that because just speaking across the country, people, especially teachers who watch this show, never forget that and can repeat it back to me. And I just think about that because this show ain't for the money. Wow. Teachers, yes.
When he tells the kid the Illuminati, that's what he's And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, this is something crazy, but very special. And then there have been a couple other moments, but that one was, for me, the best moment so far. And then the 2 moments I had with Tyler, when he decided he didn't know if he wanted to be a teacher or if he wanted to stay. And then the moment I have with Quinta's character at the end of season 3. I thought they showed a different side of Mr. Johnson. You know, he still had that edge, and he wouldn't give up much.
I love that. You know what my favorite moment for you, Janelle, is? That moment when you're dancing.
Oh, that's so good.
That moment where you walk in the gym and you try and act it, and it just gets ran in the gym. Well, what's yours? I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh no, thank you so much.
I love compliments. I'm glad Sheryl said the pilot because it made me remember. I have so many. I mean, I've been having a ball this whole. You know, we talk about our past and everything, and we've all kind of gone out and done other things in other shows and little parts here and there, and everybody has said like we want to come back to our show. So I just feel so lucky. But the pilot, I remember my first scene was coming out when I revealed the billboard of myself, and that was my first time seeing it too. And I looked at it, and then I did the pose, which wasn't scripted. I just did it because I just thought that was funny. And then I saw Sheryl Lee Ralph looking at me, because the teachers were out, just looking at them, looking at me was like wild. And I don't think anybody, I don't think anybody knew who I was, really. And no, did you?
No.
Yes, and nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew who I was. That's fine. You know now. And Sheryl Lee Ralph looking at me and knowing me now, and then Tyler after said, "Oh, that's what we doing?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Oh, you funny." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's Tyler." So that was my favorite moment.
That's how I knew we had a heater. I was like, I knew Sheryl and I knew Quinta. Chris had done something earlier in the day. I was like, okay. And then Janelle hit that, and I was like, we got a hit, yo. Like, we got to do all the things necessary for it. If that's who we're running the majority of our comedy through, yeah, it will be good.
Quinta, do you have a favorite moment?
I know, I'm sitting here trying to think. The one that's coming to mind is, I think because it's so Janine focused, it was the finale last year. I just thought that was a lot of growth for Janine in one singular episode. Just from having, there's something really special about her pulling off the party, but because of her own issues, it's still not going well enough. And I think people suffer from that, like Janine. Like, you want things to be perfect so bad that it's never perfect. And so she can't even realize that her party is going well, that everyone's having fun. And I always thought that was just interesting, and I just know people like that. It needs to be perfect or else they're not having fun, and they fail to realize that it's going well around them. They actually did. They achieved it, and everyone's having a good time. And then, of course, I think the moment, character-wise, with Janine and Gregory at the end was that's great for her, and great for him, but really great for her. Date a bunch of bums, and not a bunch, one main bum. A reformed bum, he's now the head of the PTA. It was important for her and Gregory's character to go and get what they wanted. And I think these are two characters who have had problems doing that for 3 seasons. And so it felt very good for not only the characters, but for the audience to see that.
I think that's a perfect way to end the discussion, but before we do that, I want to just say to each and every one of you that you're changing lives every single day when people watch this show. It's bringing joy to their hearts. It's bringing support and respect to teachers. It's bringing up empathy and bringing up issues for teachers that are now giving a global platform through this show. So I want to thank Chris, Janelle, Stan, Sheryl, Tyler, and Quinta for your artistry and bringing it to us on the list. She said before we came out here that she wanted to be interviewed by me, and child, I almost lost my mind. I'm just gonna say it out loud. Oh my God. But anyway, it's been my pleasure to talk to y'all and interview you about this, and it's been my pleasure to have you guys sit here and stay and listen to it. Thank you so much.